What are the things you wish school had taught you about understanding yourself, life, relationships and health, so that each day you could develop to become the person you know you could be? Unlock your potential and live the life that you want.
Well, luckily for you, you don't need to go back to school, because Mum and daughter Jane and Liv are coming to the rescue. We welcome you to the School Run podcast, where every day is a school day, and we open your world to the things that school didn't teach you. Are you ready to become the best version of you?
It's time for a catch-up. Yes, today is one of these episodes where we're just going to have a nice little catch-up, mum and daughter, to you guys listening. And it's just going to be very, very chill, but hopefully we can give you some wisdom along the way. So hello, if you've never listened before, I am Liv. I am one half of the School Run podcast, and I am here with my mum, who is sat right next to me.
I'm Jane James, and I absolutely love doing this podcast. Although, I'm going to caveat that it's very difficult when Olivia has A-levels going on.
Yeah, because my time is focused on revision and this podcast. I mean, we're recording one today, which is Tuesday, and it's coming out literally on Monday. So if we hadn't done this one, then we would have none. So we're trying our very best.
We're absolutely trying our best. We've done over 118 episodes every single week. If someone would say to me, what's the single thing that you could do that would help you to get successful? And I would say consistency. And with the podcast, we've absolutely nailed consistency, even though it's been very difficult at times to fit into two very busy schedules, to fit around everything else that life has going on. But what really is going on for you right now, Liv? Let's have some honesty on what's been going on over the last few weeks and months, because it's ages since we've done a catch-up episode.
Is it? Has it been that long?
Yeah.
Well, the guys, by the time this comes out, I might already be 18, which means, oh my gosh, I will be 18 by the time this one comes out. My birthday is on the 8th of May, which is kind of crazy. I will be 18. And I will be starting my A-levels on the 12th of May, 4 days after my birthday. First A-level, 12th of May. And yeah, that's going to be... It's a lot of revision from now until then, I think, which is obviously quite tiring and maybe not the thing I most want to be doing, but I'm going to try my best to get where I can. And it's just kind of looking at the finish line right now.
What do you need to do by the 12th of May between now and then, and how are you approaching this?
A lot. I need to do a lot between now and luckily for me, in December and January and February, I did like a lot of revision, which I'm very grateful to my past self for doing that for me, because if I hadn't have done that, I think I'd be really struggling at this point. But luckily, I've got kind of everything I need. I just need to like learn it now. So I've made a little plan, and of course my videos on TikTok and Instagram, they are all about this journey in the next few weeks, which is very exciting. Not, I won't say scary. I think when I get in there, I'm not bad in exams, and I know people get really anxious in exams, but for me, I think I just go in there. You can just do what you do. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a chair, a table, a piece of paper, and a pen, and that's how you've got to look at it. And we look at this piece of paper and we're like, oh my gosh, it's like holds my future, and oh, it's so scary, when it's just actually a piece of paper with words printed on it, and that's exactly how I go in and look at it.
And will you be ready? How do you want to go into that first exam? What exam is it, and how are you approaching it?
My first exam is economics, which is it's very funny this actually, because my economics teacher at parents' evening, he was like, Liv is such a puzzle. Like, I've never known anyone go from an A to an E to a B to a C to an A and be like so unbothered about it. And for me, economics is very I won't say very difficult, that's kind of exaggeration, but it's obviously about businesses, which is something I'm interested in. It's also about kind of like the government taxes, subsidies, all that kind of stuff. Which it's interesting, but it has taught me a lot. I knew nothing about taxes before, and now I could tell you quite a little bit on taxes. So it is helpful. I think I'll just be going in, and it's an essay subject, which Mum will tell you has never been really my strong point. So yeah, I'm gonna go and try my best, do lots of practice papers and all the usual stuff.
And how does that fit in? How does revision fit into the week?
At the moment, hopefully it's gonna just be all that I'm doing, unfortunately. I always try and still go to the gym 4 times a week. I have never completed a 12-week program in the gym, and I'm currently on week 6, and I'm actually quite shocked that I'm still at the gym. But I cut it down from 5 days to 4 days because that was just more sustainable and it was gonna be more realistic for me, especially when I work on the weekends as well. So, yeah, I'm actually still here at week 6, and I'm actually kind of shocked. But it's that consistency, isn't it? Keeping something that I love to do, keeping something that's good for my mind, good for my body, still in my day is really important, especially when you're going through like all this revision and you're sat down all day and it's a lot of like toll on your mind. So it's always good to have that kind of like little outlet, even if it's like just a walk or a run or something there. It's really important.
And what else has been going on over the last few weeks? We've had our little nephew's birthday.
Yeah.
We've had I can't even think of all the things actually. There's been some lovely weather. We've sat outside. We've had our first barbecues.
Yeah. I submitted my application to the London Marathon 2026, which was very exciting. I entered into the ballot, and then I also entered for a charity, which is which is an eating disorders charity, which I've obviously talked about my story on here before, and I also talk about it on my TikTok and Instagram. And actually, once I shared like a part of my story on TikTok, it was actually kind of, I think it's on. I know this is nothing if you're a social media influencer looking, but I think it's got 10,000 views now, and there's like 100 comments on it of people having the same experience as me in treatment, which made me so upset. So I always knew I wanted to run this marathon for them. So I've put in that application. Like, it took me a full hour because it says, why would you like to run the London Marathon for us? And I wrote it all and then it got deleted. So I had to start all over again. But yeah, that got submitted and we found out in June, which is very exciting. And I also came up with another goal, because you know me, I'm always out there setting goals, is to run all the 6 major marathons, which is London, New York, Boston, Tokyo, Berlin, and I can't remember the last one. I think Sydney's in there. Yeah, I can't remember. Sydney's the 7th one, I think.
New York. You didn't say New
Yeah, New York, Boston, Berlin, Tokyo, London. There's one more and I can't remember where it is. And yeah, I think there's going to be 9 too. So hopefully, this is a big goal, but I would like to run all of those 6 major marathons, and I'd like to do them all for a different charity. Yeah, so that's maybe what my gap year might be consisting of. Running lots of marathons.
Oh, I went away for the weekend with Aunt, and we went to look round Tewkesbury Abbey, which was really, really beautiful. I find it fascinating. Churches, I absolutely love church buildings. I've always loved church buildings. I remember going to Barcelona many years ago and going round the Sagrada Familia and the different churches around Barcelona. So that was a really lovely weekend, and really been going on a bit of a faith journey and a deeper spiritual journey over the last few months. I think because I've not been able to walk.
Yeah.
So my outlet is normally walking, but because I've had a couple of things, the injury to my foot at the end of January when I fell over the top step and bent my foot all the way back and then out. Yeah, it's been So I got back to walking quite quickly, but still with pain, and then had a real, I don't know what even happened, where my foot went into spasm and even more pain, where I couldn't even put my foot down one Sunday after a walk. And I've not been able to walk since, and that's been about 6-7 weeks. So the x-ray hasn't shown anything up. I've had an MRI scan. I'm waiting for the results. But I need to get back to walking. But I think alongside, whereas I would normally go out every day and walk and get my 11,000 steps, I've been going to church every week or finding more out about my spiritual journey. And that's been really interesting.
Yeah, it's been interesting to see you kind of go on that journey, because we went to church when I was little, and we went kind of every Sunday. And then I think since we moved in with Aunt, you just haven't been able to find that kind of church that you wanted to go to. And now you've found that, which is very nice to see.
Yeah, it's lovely. And also just delving into lots of other faiths, from, Buddhism to Sikhism to, reading about Judaism, like so much stuff, which has been really interesting. So rather than walk in, get my journal, do some research, go on that little bit of a journey, and that's been really interesting. And I have found this lovely church, and really like the priest. Although my sisters and mum told me that our priest that I found is going to retire in 2 years, which anyway, I'm not going to think about that.
I'm not excited about.
I'm not going to think about that. The building itself is lovely, and the congregation, etc. So we'll see. It still might change where I end up going longer term, but it's an interesting journey. The reason I think about this is there's something called the Wheel of Life. Have you ever done the Wheel of Life? So you can pull it off the internet. It's a wheel. Just put in Wheel of Life. You pull it off, and the circle is sort of broken into segments. So you might have finance, health, fitness, family, friendships, work, wisdom, spirituality, and then there's sort of circles 1 to 10, starting from the center going out. And you put a cross in each of those segments as to where you are in that area of your life. So let's say fitness. At the moment, your consistency, you're on week 6. So between 0 and 10, what would you give it?
Maybe a 7.
And then you look at family and you go, between 0 and 10, what's the state of your family?
Probably 9.
And then friends, between 0 and 10?
At the moment, it's 10.
Then spirituality.
Oh, probably like 1.
Okay. And then, I don't know, health, overall health. So nutrition, water, how,
Maybe a 7.
7. Okay, so you've got these little points that you've put round on all of the different areas. If you were to cut that wheel out and then roll it, if it was a physical wheel, would it roll really nicely down the road?
Probably not.
Or would it, because of the 1s and 2s, be a bit jagged? Yeah. So the idea is that once you've isolated which areas are not all, you want the wheel to go down the road really balanced. That's you being in balance. You don't want it going a bit off track. So you need to work on the areas that are making the wheel go off track and make those bigger.
Hi everyone, we hope you're enjoying this episode so far. We're just cutting in to say, if you're enjoying our podcast, please click the follow button on whichever platform you're listening on. And please leave us a review. We'd be so grateful for your support and feedback. Podcasts are free to listen to, but if you are loving our school run chats and debates, please consider buying us a virtual coffee. The link will be in the description of every podcast episode, and it will also be in the bio of our Instagram, which is @theschoolrun_official. And why not give it a follow while you're there, so you can see all the updates and get sneak peeks at upcoming episodes. Thank you so much, and happy listening.
So that's the Wheel of Life, and I think it's a really helpful thing every year or every few months to just reassess.
Yeah, and look at the parts in your life where you're thinking, oh, actually, that's not kind of like what's the happiest at the moment, and how can I do something about that? Because there's always something that you can do.
Absolutely. So what could you do about the one where you said it was 1 or 2?
Oh, spirituality. I think maybe I could probably I actually used to do, like, a lot of yoga, which which kind of, had meditation in it, which I really enjoyed. I think at this point, um, I'm not gonna say I don't have enough time because that's my biggest pet peeve when someone says that they don't have enough time because you create time for the things that are important for you, and there is always time. If you choose to believe there's not enough time, then there won't be. Um, at this point, though, I do have to realize that there are some parts in my life that have to take a back seat. For example, which isn't sound great, but, like, I've not been able to go to my dad's house for many weeks now because, unfortunately, that's revision has been there instead, which is quite upsetting, but hopefully I will see him soon. Um, and yeah, so some things potentially like that, I think once I'm out of A-levels, I'll definitely start doing yoga, more yoga and Pilates again, which I really enjoy. But at this moment, it's just on a backseat. And I think it's important to know. I actually saw this kind of I think it's like 30-30-30 rule, which I saw Emma Greed, who's I think she's the co-founder of Skims and Good American G. She said it's unrealistic to wake up every day and feel like you are succeeding and happy in every area of your life. And she did it in terms of it's impossible to wake up and think I'm being 100% a great mum. I'm 100% being a great business owner. I'm 100%, you know, taking care of my health. I'm 100% like, that's a lot of pressure and expectation on yourself. She was like, when you're achieving a dream or you have a dream to do something, 30% of the days you're going to wake up and you're going to feel awesome. So, like, sometimes I guess in terms of my A-levels or in terms of whatever goal that you have for yourself, or just in general in your life, 30% of the days you're going to wake up and you're going to feel, do you know what? I feel actually awesome. Revision's going so well, or, my work's going so well, whatever it is. 30% of the days you're going to be like, meh, it's going all right. And then 30% of the days you're going to be like, oh, it's just, I just want it. I just wanted, I've achieved it already and I just kind of want it to be over, and realizing that all those days, you may not wake up 100% being like, yes, I'm smashing it in every single area of my life. It puts you so much less expectation and pressure on yourself than thinking, some days I'm going to wake up like this, some days I might wake up like that, some days I might wake up like that. But then how do I deal with that? And how do I still manage to do everything I want to do with that feeling?
That's interesting. And I love the fact that you said you're not going to be an amazing mum every single day. Did you say that in that thing?
That's what she said in her.
I actually don't feel like I'm being a very amazing mum at the moment.
She is. She's always in a minute.
I feel like every day I am turning into the mum that I never wanted to be. And every day I'm just harping on about, well, what are you doing today? When's your work? Have you done your work? What? And it's only because I don't see Liv showing up going, I'm absolutely just going to nail this. I see it being like a complete secondary consideration. And actually, I know we've always talked about that school isn't everything, and that might be a really conflicting situation within you, that we've talked on this podcast for years now about how it's not the be all and end all. And it is not. And I stand by that publicly. It is not. You start to really learn about life once you leave school. It hasn't taught you everything. However, it is a building block, just like having good nutrition, lots of water, doing your fitness, having a roof over your head, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Just getting that last piece of the jigsaw is part of the building blocks of your basis. And a lot of society still looks to educational grades to define how they see you in their first impression before you even get a foot in the door to the interview, they're going to look at that sheet of paper. Or if you're not going for a job interview, you're going for a university interview, or if you're going for a business loan to start a business, they're going to look at the basics. And therefore, whether we like it or not, you need to give it your absolute best shot. And because of that, I'm showing up every day, not being who I normally am with you, because I want you to give this the best shot possible.
But I understand that, and I feel like that's something we have different views on, which it's always, I think it's good to have different views from, people that you surround yourself with, because it helps you generate more conversations and get different perspectives on things. And for me, it's kind of like a game of life, isn't it? Unfortunately, you just have to play by the game, which is, getting, grades that other people want. However, when I actually look in my classroom, I was actually having this discussion the other day with people in my psychology class, and I was looking at all these students in this room who looked so incredibly tired and miserable and unhappy and not wanting to be there and thinking, why am I here? And it made me upset. And I thought, I understand that obviously grades is something you need to get, but I think one of my goals, which is why I really wanted Simon Scribb on the podcast, is because we could do education in this country. We could still have the same outcome of grades, but it could be done so much differently, so that you don't have to sit in a classroom looking at all these miserable students, because, you don't, why do we want, no wonder teenagers struggling with their mental health. I've just seen them all in the classroom looking just like, oh my God, what am I even doing here? Which is sad to see. And I was speaking to my friend who's from America, and I said, because obviously it's different. I said, what education do you prefer? Do you prefer English education, or do you prefer American education? She said, 100% I prefer American education, because what they have is all their grade, it doesn't depend on a final exam at the end of the year. 40% is homework, 10% is coursework, 30% is project. So actually, first of all, they wouldn't be able to like cram at the end for an exam, because some of it's based on lots of different things. But also they have different credits, and they have the opportunity to take, like, oh, do you want to do coding, or do you want to do food tech? And that actually all counts in towards their credits of their end grade, and then they just get a high school diploma at the end to say that they've graduated. Which even that system, I feel, is gives students so much more opportunity than ours does now. And even talking to her about it, about how much she thinks American education, she preferred it to here. I think it's not that, oh, yes, it's a big thing to change, and I understand that, but looking as a young person, feeling like this about A-levels, knowing I'm definitely not the only one that feels like this, knowing there is absolutely something that can be done to change it, because they're doing it in America. It's not like this crazy thing of, oh my gosh, we need to do something that's never been done before. That's not what it is. I think that is something really eventually that I would like to do, because thinking about my little cousins, I mean, I've got quite a lot of them. They've got like 16 of them. Thinking that they're going to grow up and be in the same position I'm in, and not liking school and not wanting to learn and not just enjoying and just being excited to finish. That's not what school and learning should be about. We should.
Agreed. And you will learn. Like, I enjoyed learning more post-school and post-university than at any other point. But there are some stuff, as you alluded to, in economics that is actually really helpful to what you're going to want to go into. And there's so much knowledge there that you can just get it in your brain, get it learned, get it on the right piece of paper in the right format.
I know, but I'm not talking about me now. I'm not talking about me, because I understand at this point where we are in this country, everyone who is my age and probably many years younger will have to go through it. That's not what I'm saying. I'm talking about me being able to do something for future generations who can have some sort of education system which allows them to really experience so many things, and potentially having the mandatory classes, the classes that they have to go to, will be things like maths to do with mortgages and finances and taxes. You know, my friend at the cafe the other day, she was saying, Liv, I could tell you about forces and gravity, but I would have no idea how to tell you how I apply for a mortgage. And I'm like, these should be the mandatory classes, but then some sort of system, and I can't work it out in my head right now, but I understand it's not going to be for me, and I understand it's probably going to be maybe not even for people 10, 20 years down the line. But equally, I think having all these students coming through, and there are some schools I think that do it, and they do have more opportunities in that way, and they really do look at kind of like the full person, and they look at all the opportunities in the sport and the music and everything. But most schools in our country don't do that, and that's something that I want to do something about.
Well, watch this space.
Watch this space.
Thank you so much.
Simon Squibb, where is he?
Yeah.
Come on, Simon.
So follow Liv on the videos every day. Send some encouragement, some of your words of wisdom for helping to get through these A-levels, because they will have started as you listen to this episode today.
Yeah.
And help us get through the next few weeks. Will help me, because sometimes I'm the one driving, getting the episodes done, and other times it's Liv getting the episodes done, and together we seem to get an episode out every week.
We try to.
We try. See you next week. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of the School Run podcast. We absolutely love doing the podcast. Podcasts are free to listen to, but if you'd like to buy us a virtual coffee, we'd be really, really grateful. You just need to go to www.buymeacoffee.com/theschoolrun. That's buymeacoffee.com/theschoolrun. You can also follow us on Instagram at theschoolrun_official, or TikTok with the same name, at theschoolrun_official. And we always really appreciate your reviews and feedback. On the platform that you're listening to, you can review our podcast and give us a star rating. We'd love to have your comments and receive your feedback. Thank you so much for being a massive support of our journey. This episode has been edited and produced by Mike Roberts from Making Digital Real. We are so lucky and privileged to work with Mike, and highly recommend him if you're thinking of starting a podcast.